Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Mathghamhain Morsels. This one will, in fact, be episode 45 of Mathghamhain Morsels, and I'm going to show you guys how to make a twice-baked potato today. So, of course, you want a good-sized potato. I'm using a floury skin potato. This is just a russet. I've explained the difference between floury and waxy. Floury feels floury. It has kind of a dull skin to it. Waxy potatoes have a waxy texture to them. I know, big ideas here being expressed, but they have a waxy texture. They tend to have a fairly thin skin, and they have a kind of shiny skin because of the waxy coat, whereas floury have a very dull color to them. So, this starts out much the same way that baked potato did. And I've already done a baked potato video. The only difference is, in my baked potato video, I didn't bother poking holes in it, because I didn't really need to. Most people still say to poke holes. I kind of like it without the holes when I'm doing a normal baked potato. But when I'm doing a twice baked, I'll poke holes along the top and along the sides. I'll leave the bottom unpunched, but that'll give it places for the steam to escape and allow the potato to get actually baked and get a really nice crispy skin rather than steaming as much as they tend to like to. I prefer just a normal baked potato without punching the holes because that kind of traps some of that steam, and I like the really light, fluffy, not as crispy baked potato. But for twice baked, I really need a crispy, crunchy skin. So, just going to add some oil to this. In this case, I'm using some safflower oil. You can use whatever your preferred oil is. I've done it with lard, I've done it with tallow, with olive oil, with saff, with rape, with a bunch of different types of oil. And that's rapeseed oil. It's an actual type of oil. Google, do not try to fuck with me just because I said rape in a video. So, to that, I'm going to add a generous amount of kosher salt. And again, just like in the baked potato video, I want to get that kosher salt pretty much covering the potato on all its faces. So, sprinkle on a couple times if you need to. That looks good. Now, this is going to go into, I think for my normal baked potato video, I did a 400-degree oven. Like I said, I really want crispy skin on this. So I have my oven preheated for 450 degrees. And I have cast iron set inside. It's a small Dutch oven that I'm going to be placing the potato in there to keep the heat really close to the potato to help give it that crispy texture. So I will see you guys after this potato has cooked for a good while and that skin gets nice and crispy and the potato is cooked all the way through and beautiful. So I will see you then. Okay, so here we are back at my desk. The potato has come out of the oven. And like I said, you really want this to be a very crispy potato. So you can see, just tapping away at this, this is nice and hard. And what I recommend doing, rather than using a normal knife, use a bread knife on this. The bread knife is used to cutting through a nice hard, crusty loaf of bread without damaging the fluffy inside too much. And you want to just take off the top of your potato. So there's the top, the lid. And then what you're going to want to do is scrape out the insides. I forgot to grab a spoon. And this is the point where this is going to go from a baked potato to kind of mashed potato process, and then to being stuffed back into its shell and baked again. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the little bit of potato off the lid, and I have a bowl here. I fried up some rashers of, well, not rashers, but some bits of country bacon. And I have a couple really nice smoked cheddar cheeses that I blended together after shredding. Pick whatever ingredients you want in order to finish out your twice baked. A really nice cheese works wonders, and bacon and potato are always amazing. So the one thing that I did do that I forgot to mention earlier was, while this was in the oven, every so often I would take it out part way, flip it over, then stick it back in, just to make sure that that nice crust wasn't just formed on one side of the potato, but I have this nice solid skin on the entire potato, which will make, when I have to restuff this, a lot easier. So just go in with a spoon, and you want to kind of scrape out the insides, but you don't want to scrape too far, or else your shell will become a bit too undermined and a bit too soft. So you want it to stay nice and rigid like this. I can dig out a little bit more without really undermining the structural integrity. But this is probably the last go. As you can see, it's starting to give a little bit. So there's the potato in there with the cheese and the bacon. And then, just like if this was normal mashed potatoes, I warmed up some cream and butter. So in goes heavy cream and melted butter. Add some salt. You can use your preferred type of salt. I'm going to add a bit of Salish older wood smoked salt, because again, as I've said many times, I love smoky. So the older wood smoked salt will just add a really nice smoky note to this. And then this just all gets mashed together, and you want to mix it up so that that cheese and bacon end up worked throughout this mash. So kind of go around the edge. This won't be as smooth a mash as my other mashes have been, because this one I didn't rice. I just peeled out the insides and stuck them in a bowl and went at it with a hand masher. So get that together. That's looking good. Still have little bits of cheese that haven't completely melted in, but those will melt in the twice baked part of this. So I'm just going to taste this and make sure that the flavors work together. See if it needs more salt or needs more cream or anything like that. But that is absolutely lovely. So Just going to go in with a spoon. Again, make sure that the bacon and cheese are incorporated throughout the mash and not just in one area. And then I'm going to stuff this back into the potato skin. And I'm going to take care to kind of press it down in to get as much of this back into the potato as I can. Anything that you aren't able to get, because you won't be able to get all of it, especially if you add ingredients like I did to make it a cheddary, lovely, delicious bacon mash. This is slightly overfilling it, but I did hollow out my lid as well, so it's not horrendously overfilled. But as you can see, I was fairly generous with that filling. Just going to smooth the edge a little bit. And this is going to go back into that 450 degree oven to bake for its second time. And on the second bake, that cheese is going to melt into the potato. It's just going to get lovely and bubbly deliciousness on the inside. And once it's out for that second bake, it'll be good to serve. So I will see you all back here once this has finished its second go in the oven. Okay, so here we are with that twice baked potato, that nice crispy skin on top. Let's remove the lid to this. Oh man, just look at that. The lid, that's good to eat as well. In fact, one thing that I every now and then do is I use the lid to just kind of scoop up the inside of the twice baked. But let's get a nice bite of this. Get some bacon in there, get some cheese in there. Cheesy, bacony goodness. Ooh. Oh god, absolutely delicious. The slight smokiness of the cottage bacon that I used, with the smokiness of the cheese and of that salt and that slightly caramelized taste of the twice baked potato flesh. Oh god, it's good. And like I said, if you overfill it, it will kind of spill out. I had a little bit try to spill out on the side, but just scoop that up, toss it on top. Ooh. One of the bits that kind of poured out got some lovely bit of caramelization. I just tossed it right back on top. But that's amazing when you get that. Absolutely delicious. And this is a delicious, simple side that you can make with your meal. You just need to give it enough time for the double baking, depending on how good your oven is and all that. The time takes a fairly wide sweep. If you have a really good oven that maintains its temperature well, Give it 45 minutes to an hour in that first bake to get the nice crispy skin. The second bake doesn't need to be as long. In fact, it can be a fairly short bake. You could even do it for just 15 minutes and it will bake up nicely. Oh, absolutely delicious. But if your oven runs a bit colder than what it's set to, or doesn't trap the heat quite as well, the bake will take longer. So you have to learn your oven, figure out how long it takes you to get a nice crispy skinned potato. And then you just work with those numbers. The first bit, you want the crispy skin. The second bit, you just want the cheese and everything else that you mixed in to blend together and melt in. And be amazing. But it's a very simple side dish. Just takes some time for the baking. And that baking allows you to do other things like cook up a beautiful steak to have along with your amazing twice-baked potato. But at this point, I'll leave you off. Oh, this is a really nice bit. That is just really darkly caramelized skin. Or, not even skin, that's really darkly caramelized flesh. The skin kind of peeled away from it during one of the bakes. And it's delicious. But I'll leave you off here because I'm just going to continue picking out on this amazing meal. But before I go, I'll leave off with my normal, try new flavors, try new foods, try different dishes, remake some classics, remake some standbys. Enjoy your food and enjoy your life. Have a good one all.